Hello students, once again. Today we will discuss on the chapter chemical reactions and equations, third chapter. The last topic we have studied today. First one is corrosion. What is meant by corrosion? How it takes place? What are the factors affecting the corrosion? These we have to study by using activities there. Which are the certain conditions required, which is needed to carry out this corrosion reaction, which is a very worst one. And another one is rancidity. Rancidity is also one of the phenomenon in which we can find out some worst things. Also, we have very bad smell, and it is a nuisance reaction actually. Both these reactions we will discuss today. First one is a corrosion. What is meant by corrosion, and why we discuss this corrosion? Corrosion, the phenomena corrosion, the rusting of iron. Why we will discuss those things? We will see in this lesson. So for that we have to carry out one activity there. For that activity we have to require 4 test tube. In activity we have to take 4 test tube. A test tube. This is B. This is C. And this is D. Okay, these are the 4 test tube we have taken. In every test tube, what you have to do? We have taken boiled water and oil here. Okay, in a first test tube, what you have to do? We have to take a boiled water and some sort of layer, oil layer over it. Okay. After that, in a second test tube, what we have taken a salty solution. They have taken salt solution is there. Salt solution in the test tube B, and in a test tube C, they have taken air only. Air. That means this test tube is empty. There is only air which is surrounded by it. And in the last test tube, which having anhydrous calcium chloride is there. Anhydrous calcium chloride is there. These are the 4 test tube are there. We have to study those parameters which can affecting the phenomenon corrosion for the rusting of iron. That means a corrosion. How it is possible, or the which factor which can affect the corrosion process, which can carry out the corrosion process? For that we have taken, there are 4 different conditions are there. These are the conditions. According to these conditions, we have to check whether the given material which is provided to you, given iron material is become corroded or not. If it is corroded, which are the factors? If it is not corroded, which are the factors which cannot affect those things? So after that, what you have to do? We have to insert iron nail. We have to insert iron nail in every. We have to insert iron nail. Iron nail is there. For a sample of iron things, we have taken iron nail. We have to put it in every test tube, and all these test tube are we have to carried out. We have to put it in a test tube stand. So before starting our experiment, what you have to do? We have to take a rubber cork and we have to fix this test tube, so that either there is another outside parameter which cannot affect in this test tube, which is already anhydrous calcium chloride is there. So our experiment is all ready to set. We are already setting those things. 4 test tubes are there. 4 nails, iron nails are put inside in it. 4 different conditions are there. One of them is boiled water and oil layer over it, and another one is salt solution is there. Third one is only air. Only air is the medium inside a test tube, and the last one is anhydrous calcium chloride in the presence of a iron nail. So that these are the 4 test tubes we have taken. So our experiment starts now. What you have to do? We have to, these test tube stand we have to keep a 4 days in a separate room. Separate room means that there is no another that heat or either anything which cannot affect, or humidity which cannot be affected on this test tube, so that outside sources could not affect these type of conditions which is already created for that experiment. Okay, so you have to not attend those test tube for 4 days. After 4 days, after 4 or 5 days, what you have to do? We have to see whether these iron nails have, as before it, we have to keep such like that, or any difference we have to observe, or any affected things, or any effects which is created on every nail which is inserted in every test tube. So these are the main inference we have to carry out there. So after that we can easily find that the test tube B which having a salt solution, test tube B which having a salt solution having affected these, there are some sort of change we can find easily on it, and it becomes there are certain sign of a corrosion is taking place. After that they have been given that, they have been given that there are in a third test tube, rusting process. Firstly we have seen on the salt solution that there are rapid change on the iron nail in the salt solution, on the nail which having in the salt solution. Okay, after that they have mentioned slight change was observed in the third test tube which is containing only air, atmospheric air, and they having some sort of changes there, and there are certain rusting processes also we can observe on the surface of the nail. After that in a test tube A, after that in a test tube A, the nail which having inside a test tube A, also there is very slight change on the surface of the nail, so that we can easily see there is a certain rusting process is carried out there. And in the fourth test tube which having a rubber cork is there, so that inside and outside medium which could not enter each other, so that it can affect each other, only anhydrous calcium chloride is there, and due to that this iron nail inside a fourth test tube doesn't any effect over on the surface of it. So that what you have to do, we can easily see that only water is not required, only air is not required for that. Both these parameters are required to carry out the rusting process on a iron, so that the more affected is on a salt B solution nail. After that the nail which is having in the third test tube, that is air, and after that the nail which having in the boiled water and oil layer is also affected, is less affected. Greater affected is in the salt B solution in a test tube which having this nail, and after that the third test tube having only air, and after that the boiled water and oil layer in a test tube A. An anhydrous calcium chloride containing the iron nail doesn't affect any over it, so that there are the corrosion is taking place you know that the corrosion is the phenomenon of the rusting. Rusting is also called corrosion, and the rusting happens only when it requires water as well as air. But these are the parameters which can easily conclude that how these parameters, how the controlled parameters can affect the process of a corrosion. Okay, so next we have to see so rusting. We can easily see that there are a newly branded car or any vehicle. We can see the shiny glazing surface of the car, but after a few days later we can easily we can see that the color becomes dull. Why it becomes dull? Which are the why it became dull? Because there is a redox reaction. There is oxidation is taking place between atmospheric humidity is there, air is there, and moisture is there, and this can affect the redox reaction, and due to this there is certain type of reddish layer which is deposited, which is created on that metallic surface of a vehicle, and this is nothing but the rusting, and its formula is Fe2O3 XH2O. This is rust. This is rust. In Marathi it called as a गंज लागणे. गंज म्हणतो आपण त्याला. So Fe2O3 is the formula. They have chemical formula. This layer is called rust, and rusting means there is some oxidation process with the iron by atmospheric air, atmospheric all these parameters can affect those things, and oxidation is taking place, and due to this oxidation the rust is the new product, new layer, reddish layer is deposited on the metallic surfaces are there. So these are the main substance deposited on the surface of the metallic surface of the car or any vehicle. So how it is processed, how this process is created or proceed, we can see what happens. The rusting process is carried out. So the rust of iron is not a simple one. This is not a simple process that iron and water combines with each other. Iron and oxidation combines with each other to form Fe2O3. It is not a process. This is not a very simple process. It is not a simple process. This is not a simple process. It is not simple process, but it is electrochemical reaction. We cannot say it is a very simple process, such like that Fe and oxygen, they are react with each other and it can form this compound Fe2O3, and we can their corresponding their valency and those things we can adjust it, but this is not happen such like that. This is happen only the electrochemical reaction. This is electrochemical reaction means there is some sort of process is there. There anode reaction, and anode is there, cathode is there. There is some sort of reaction is taking place on an anode, and some sort of process happen on a cathode, and these reactions can cumulatively carried out the process of a rusting. So this is not simple as we have written on the blackboard that Fe plus O it gives Fe2O3. This happens. How it is happens? Look at this. So for electrochemical processes, there are the object of an iron, object of iron is distributed. They have already told that they have does not form on a simple process. The different region of the surface of iron becomes anode. The object of iron, that means region on it becomes anode and cathode. Okay, a region, there are some space, it acts as anode, it acts as a cathode, and the electrochemical process is carried out there. So iron utensils is there, and object is there, some sort of region is act as an anode, and some sort of portion is region is act as a cathode. I think you have got this idea that that are not a simple process, which is already mentioned. Just you can imagine those things by simply the combination of they are chemically react with each other or form rust. This is not a simple one. This is electrochemical process on that particular object where the electrochemical process have been carried out. Some region is acts as an anode, some region act as a cathode. And how the cathode and anode, how these reactions are carried out. How on a cathode and anode, how the reaction is carried out, they have shown. First, on anode region. On anode region. So on anode region, they have been iron is oxidized to Fe2. Iron is oxidized to Fe to iron. Fe2 plus iron. Okay, and this reaction on an anode, this reaction on an anode, and this reaction is carried out such like that. Fe2 plus 2 electrons. They are already mentioned in our book that they are firstly oxidized on an anode and they form Fe2 plus ions. These are the metallic iron and these are ions. By losing 2 electrons, they form. By losing 2 electrons, you know that electron decreases. That means negative charge decreases, positive increases, and positive increases means this type of ions is created on the region of an anode of a particular object of an iron. So this happen on an anode, and what happen? Which type of reaction on a cathode region? Which type of reaction in the cathode region? On a cathode region, they have been O2 is reduced to form water. O2 is reduced to form water. Okay, so O2 plus, they have given that O2 plus hydrogen plus 4 electrons, and it gives twice H2O. That means 4H minus and this electron, so that it becomes 4 hydrogen ions are there and 4 valence is 1, negative 1. Okay, 4 ions are there and 4 electrons are there. They can take these 4 electrons and it becomes a metal. They becomes these electrons and these they have been carried out there, and so that we have to write down this plus ions. These plus ions, hydrogen ions, and these 4 electrons, which are we have written in a distributed form, and these 4 atom and this O2 atom, that means H2, that 4 atom are there, and this O2. So in this way, water is formed. O2 is reduced to form a water on a cathode region of that particular iron object. Okay, so that first one we have to obtain Fe2 plus ions. After that we have to got iron is there. So what happened next? Fe2 migrate towards the anode. Fe ions migrate towards anode towards anode region. Fe2 plus ions migrate from anode region and they react with water. They migrate from anode and reacts with water. So Fe2 plus ions migrated from anode and reacts with water. So Fe2 plus ions migrated from anode and reacts with water. What happens? The reaction and they are further oxidized. Fe2 plus ions migrating from anode reacts with water and further oxidized to Fe3 plus ions. Okay, so once again there is oxidizing process is done. First one is, we have already seen that the Fe2 plus ions at that time this is oxidation is taking place. Here is also oxidation taking place, and we have got Fe3 plus ions, that is ferrous, that is ferric ion. It is ferrous ions, Fe2 plus ferrous, and it is converted into Fe3 plus ferric ion. So these are the process, and after in the last process they have formed reddish colored hydrated oxide. In the last process reddish colored.
ते बंद होणार होता मोबाईल आता बंद.
कसं काय लागलं तुझं?
ते बंद होणार होता म्हणून.
कसं काय बंद होणार होतं?
ते ओके काय तर आलं ते.
त्याच काय करायचं? रेकॉर्डिंग चालूच होती ना.
ते मोबाईल असा कमी होत होता.